I came out as transgender in May of my ninth grade year, I believe. And so later that year, I came out to my parents, and I think that sort of not knowing creates a lot of fear. And so I think they initially reacted out of a place of fear of like really not knowing, like, what does this mean? You know, like, what is this?
Because it was all new to us, and well, like kind of what this means, what do you mean you're not, who we say you are,
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty challenging at first to understand it.
It's an understandable concern. I think sometimes where the disconnect is that oftentimes when a child comes to their parents and says, I'm gay or I'm transgender or I'm, whatever identity, they've been sitting on that information for quite some time before they make the decision that, like, okay, I need to tell people about this. And so by the time I came out to them, like, I was sure, and I was like, this is what I want, this is who I am, and that's just the end of the story. And they were like, hold on, like, what are you talking about? Where is this coming from?
They'll do their research and they'll understand exactly what's going on. But then when it drop on the parent, or when it drop, for instance, us, when it drop in our laps, it was like, ooh,
Yeah.
come on now, because we're now maybe 2-3 years ahead of us, and we're now just starting that journey,
Yeah,
So,
and also just the household and the way that we were all raised. Like, Jamaica is not a great place to be LGBT. And even compounding that, at the time, the church we were going to was a pretty conservative church. And so I think we all sort of had the mindset of, like, there is a right way to be and there's a wrong way to be.
Yeah, they are very, very anti-LGBTQ. It's preached from the pulpit, it's in the songs, it's just in conversation that is like the worst of the worst that you can be. If you find somebody practicing that, you should kill them.
Yeah.
It's not like they're not there, because I believe that there are people who are, LGBTQ in Jamaica, but they just can't be themselves. They just can't.
And for me, that's why my visibility has been so important to me, because especially for the fact that I'm trans masculine and I transitioned fairly young, I have the privilege of not being visible, of being stealth, and I've sort of actively chose not to do that. There was sort of a turning point where I was switching schools. I realized I passed consistently as male, and I'm like, okay, I have the choice to either live the rest of my life as just a normal guy and not have anything to do with being trans or LGBTQ or anything, or I can continue to be visible as a trans person. And ultimately I chose visibility because I realized that with the privilege that I have, it allows people to see that trans people aren't freaks. We're really not that different. We have the same anxieties, the same fears, the same, we laugh, we're just normal people who happen to be trans. And I think being able to tell my story to different audiences allows people to see a visible trans person and realize that there is life beyond, the murder and all of that stuff. I think the ability to live authentically as who you are is something that so many people take for granted. And me not having that and then moving to a space where I am allowed to just be Devin and be myself, like, that's how I know every day that, like, sense of feeling comfortable and just being normal is just what keeps me going. So luckily we found PFLAG through my therapist at the time, and PFLAG really helped guide our entire family, navigating that process.
Without PFLAG, we would not have been in this place that we are. I don't think Devin would be in this place that he is right now.
I remember when I was younger, I'd watch videos of trans kids with their parents, and their parents would be super accepting and, walking them through, like, their top surgery journeys. And I sort of never thought I would ever have that. And so every, like, milestone has been so much more meaningful because I still remember sort of the little kid that sort of never saw that, in the foreseeable future. I always thought testosterone would be something I would have to do when I was financially independent and on my own. And it just makes all of those moments so much more meaningful that, like, because of PFLAG and because of organizations like PFLAG, I'm sort of able to live life so much more easily. I think I was always kind of born to do advocacy and social justice work. I love telling the story that kind of when I was like 6 or 7, I'd call the 311 line when I'd see like malfunctioning street lights, and I'd be like, this is the location and this is what's going on. Like, I need someone out here to like come fix these street lights. And that was just an issue that for whatever reason, when I was 6 and 7, I was passionate about. And as I got older, I just started seeing more things that to me was unjust, and it sort of started becoming a mental list of like, these are the things I have to do when I'm old enough to actually do something about it. I absolutely love what I'm doing, and just feeling like I'm making a difference in people's lives. So I think social justice chose me. It was like, hey Devin, come here, and I was like, all right. And so now I'm here. I'm a firm believer that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so it doesn't really matter what form it takes, it's still injustice. And so whenever I see it, I'm quick to call it out and to see what I can do about it.
My message to, any parent is to love your child, listen to your child. Join a group like PFLAG, seek out other parents because you're not alone on this journey. Just seek out other support groups, other parents to support you on this journey. Just to let the child feel loved and feel like you're there for them.
If I had to say one thing to LGBT youth, I would definitely say that there's hope and that it does get better. And for a while, I thought that was just not the case. I thought, like, things suck and things are always going to suck and the world hates me and that's just how it is. And it's just, if we can hold out hope for long enough to see things get better, then like we'll all just get to live as the humans that we were kind of created to be.